Welcome to Education Lifeline. This is Trishita Paul, and today we will be solving quadratics by completing the square. Now, if you haven't watched our previous videos on quadratics, a playlist will be linked in the description below, as well as on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Please check those videos out before watching this one. In our previous two videos, we discussed how to solve quadratics by factoring and taking the square root. However, completing the square is a method that will most always work if you are trying to find the roots of a quadratic. Completing the square is a technique which can be used to find maximum or minimum values of quadratic functions, change or simplify the form of algebraic expressions, or for solving quadratic equations. As we learn the 5 ways to solve quadratics, let's formulate a way to decide which method to use when asked to solve a quadratic. First, try solving the equation by factoring. Be sure that your equation is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 before you start your factoring attempt. We recommend spending no more than a minute trying to factor before moving on to another method. Next, look if the equation has just a square term and a constant. If it does, then you can solve the equation by taking the square root of both sides. Don't forget to include a plus or minus sign in your equation once you have taken the square root. If factoring or taking the square root is not possible, check to see if the coefficient of the squared term is 1 and the coefficient of the linear or middle term is even. If so, completing the square is a good method to use. Finally, if nothing else is working for you, resort to applying the quadratic formula, which will be discussed in our next 2 videos. The quadratic formula works for any quadratic equation. Now that we know when to use the completing the square method, let's look at an example. Suppose we are asked to solve x squared plus 4x minus 4 is equal to 0. Because this cannot be factored, we can turn to completing the square. The first step to completing the square is to move the constant to the opposite side of the square in linear term, if it already isn't. Here, we can simply add 4 to both sides to get x squared plus 4x is equal to 4. Now, the next step is to add the square of half of the coefficient of the x term. In our case, 4 is the coefficient of the x term, so we take half of it to get 2. Then we square 2 to get 4. So we can add 4 to both sides to get the perfect square trinomial on the left side. That will get us x squared plus 4x plus 4, a perfect square trinomial, is equal to 4 plus 4, or 8. Now that the left side of the equation is a perfect square trinomial that can be factored, it can be factored to x plus 2 squared equals 8. We can simply take the square root of both sides, leaving us with x plus 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 8. Now we can add or subtract 2 from both sides and simplify the radical to get negative 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 2. If you do not remember how to simplify radical expressions like square root of 8, a video will be linked in the description below, as well as in the top right-hand corner of your screen. If this video was helpful, please drop a like and subscribe to Education Lifeline. Be sure to watch our other videos on Algebra 1 and check the description below for more helpful resources. We include more tips as well as practice problems in the description of every video. Please make sure to leave any questions in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.